Have you ever felt that silent, gnawing pain inside your chest when you see someone else succeeding? Someone younger, smarter, more beautiful, or more accomplished than you? That sudden drop in your stomach, the way your mind whispers, "Why not me? Why am I behind?" You don't even need to admit it out loud. You know it, I know it, because comparison is the shadow that follows us all. Every scroll through social media, every glance at a friend's achievement, every story of someone's success plants a seed in us, a seed that grows into shame, envy, and self-doubt. And we don't realize that this silent act of comparison is not just making us unhappy, it is stealing the very possibility of happiness itself. Today I want to tell you a story, not just a story about one person, but a story about all of us. The story of the two brothers. Long ago, in a small village, there lived two brothers. The elder brother worked tirelessly in the fields. He was strong, dependable, but ordinary. The younger brother, however, seemed blessed by fortune. Whatever he touched turned into success. His fields flourished, his trade prospered, and he quickly became admired by everyone in the village. The elder brother, though not lacking food or shelter, felt a growing bitterness inside. Each evening, as he watched villagers praise his younger sibling, a quiet voice inside him whispered, "You are less. You are forgotten. You will never be enough." And so, though his body was healthy, his spirit decayed. He stopped laughing. He stopped noticing the beauty of his own life, the way the wheat swayed in the wind, the comfort of his modest home, the love of his family. His world darkened, not because he had less, but because he could not stop measuring himself against his brother. One day, an old philosopher passing through the village told him, "Your eyes are poisoned. You are blind, not because you cannot see, but because you see only what belongs to others. And when you live by comparison, you will always be blind to your own blessings." The elder brother did not understand these words at first, but over time, he realized something profound. His suffering did not come from his brother's success. It came from the mirror he held up to himself, a mirror distorted by envy. Why comparison is a thief? This is not just a story of a village. This is your story, my story, our story. The philosopher Søren Kierkegaard once said, "Comparison is the death of joy." And he was right, because the moment you compare, you hand over the keys of your happiness to someone else. Think about it. The person you envy today may themselves be envying someone else. The wealthy businessman envies the artist's freedom. The artist envies the businessman's security. The young envy the old for wisdom, while the old envy the young for vitality. Comparison creates an endless chain where no one ever wins. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Even if you surpass the people you currently compare yourself to, your mind will always find new targets. The ladder never ends. Happiness will always stay one step above you, dangling just out of reach. The ancient roots of our discontent. This struggle is not new. The Greeks warned us about it long ago. Plato wrote of the shadows in the cave, how people mistake shadows for reality. Comparison is exactly this. We see only shadows of others' lives, not their full truth. Yet we measure ourselves against these shadows, forgetting they are illusions. Nietzsche, with his ruthless clarity, observed that most people live not by their own values, but by resentment. We define our worth only in contrast to others. We feel alive only when we imagine someone else is beneath us, or when we strive desperately not to be beneath them. It is a prison of the spirit. Even religious wisdom speaks here. The Ten Commandments did not merely warn against murder or theft, they warned against envy. Do not covet. Why? Because to covet is to rot your own soul from within. The psychology of the trap. Modern psychology echoes this ancient truth. Studies show that people are far less satisfied by their absolute income, beauty, or status than by how they rank compared to others. A person earning $50,000 may feel happier if their neighbors earn less than someone earning $100,000 surrounded by millionaires. Isn't that tragic? Our happiness is not determined by the richness of our lives, but by the poverty of our neighbors. This is not happiness, it is dependency. It is slavery. And in today's hyper-connected world, this slavery is worse than ever. Social media has turned our natural instinct to compare into a full-time addiction. We see only the highlights of others' lives, the perfect body, the dream vacation, the romantic relationship, the big achievement. But behind closed doors, those same people cry, struggle, and feel just as insecure as you. Yet we forget. We assume they live in light while we live in shadow, and so we spiral deeper into despair. The illusion of the perfect self, let me tell you an uncomfortable secret. The self you wish to become, the perfect version of you that you think will finally silence comparison, does not exist. You imagine that if you work harder, if you earn more, if you achieve more, one day you will no longer compare yourself. But that day never comes. Why? Because comparison is not solved by achievement. It is solved only by a radical shift of perception. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, once wrote, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor." What makes you poor is not what you lack, but the fact that you cannot see what you already have. A different path. So what is the way out? How do we break free? First, recognize this. Comparison is inevitable, but it does not have to rule you. Your mind will always notice others. But the poison comes when you cling to that noticing, when you make it the measure of your worth. Instead of asking, "Am I better than them?" ask, "Am I better than yesterday's me?" Instead of envying what someone else has, ask, "What beauty in my life am I blind to?" Practice gratitude like a warrior, not as a soft cliche, but as an act of defiance against envy. Each time your mind whispers, "Look what they have," shout back, "Look what I have." The twist. But here's something even more radical, something most people don't dare to admit. Sometimes comparison can be a teacher. Envy reveals what you secretly desire. If you feel envy towards someone who writes, sings, builds, or creates, it might be your soul telling you, "This is what you long for." Do not covet, imitate, not to become them, but to awaken what is sleeping inside you. Used wisely, envy can become a compass, but only if you do not let it curdle into resentment. Returning to the story, the elder brother with time understood this. He began to see his younger sibling not as a rival, but as a mirror reflecting what he himself could become in his own unique way. He stopped asking, "Why is he praised?" and began asking, "What can I learn from him while still walking my own path?" And slowly he found peace. Not because he surpassed his brother, but because he discovered the secret of happiness, to stop measuring life in someone else's units. The final reflection. And now I ask you, how much of your suffering comes not from your life itself, but from the constant measuring, the endless comparing, the belief that happiness lives in someone else's hands? What if you stopped looking sideways and started looking inward? What if you stopped being a slave to others' shadows and began to walk in your own light? The truth is, happiness does not come when you finally become better than others. Happiness comes when you realize you were never meant to compete at all. The secret is simple, though not easy. Stop comparing yourself. Live your own story. And maybe then, like the elder brother, you will discover that what you were seeking was always within you, waiting to be seen.